Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather on the 5th day of February 2022. I'm David Percy. Up first, hazardous weather. Red area there for the Eastern Brooks Range on out up to the eastern Arctic coast. That's a wind chill warning that's out tonight through Sunday for actually through Sunday night for wind chills 50 to 65 degrees below zero with some gusty wind conditions. And then in the yellow shaded area there for the northwest coast, northern Seward Peninsula, Shishmaref, Kivalina up to Point Hope, Cape Lisburne. That's a wind chill advisory out tonight through Sunday night, same time period as the warning. And that's for wind chills not quite as cold as the warning area, looking at wind chills running 40 to 55 degrees below zero in the windy areas there. And from there, taking a look at satellite imagery, you can see Arctic front out over the Bering Sea, or close to an Arctic front there, from the Yukon Delta coast down across the St. Matthew Island area, south of St. Lawrence Island. It's the next push of cold air that's going to be coming southward into the Pribilofs and eventually into the western central Aleutians over the next couple of days. Otherwise, storm system bringing wind and rain up into the Panhandle today. Heaviest rainfall amounts occurred northern Panhandle. Let's see, Glacier Bay Dock had about an inch of rain in the last 12 hours, ending at mid-afternoon today, while Hoonah and Juneau picked up about a quarter of an inch of rain, so not too heavy there, as well as Sitka about 3/10 of an inch in that location. Some lighter amounts down to the south. Cordova also picked up about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall, and mixed rain and snow into Prince William Sound, but amounts pretty light. And then kind of a widespread area of precipitation over the southwest part of the state, especially the Kuskokwim Valley. McGrath picked up about an inch of snow today, and otherwise clearing out, some clear skies over south central Alaska. Let me go to tonight. Tonight that'll continue. Look for maybe some increase in the cloudiness, mid and high level moisture, but chance of rain or snow, Prince William Sound, light snow possible in the Copper River Basin, areas of light snow, eastern interior, right on down into the Kuskokwim Valley. Again, some of that out to the Kuskokwim Delta, but again, nothing more than like half an inch at the most there. And then dry up over the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island area. Snow showers, Pribilof Islands, and that scatters out down toward the Aleutians. Otherwise, big front pushing into the Panhandle, gale force winds, rain heavy at times, central and north coast of the Panhandle, lighter amounts down toward Dixon and still even there, a wet, windy night, all the way down to Heidelberg, Metlakatla, over toward Stewart. And Arctic coast, kind of a weak trough dropping down from the north there will keep some light snow going. And the wind's kicking up, enough gradient there, and the temperature's low enough for the wind chill warning for the eastern Arctic coast, eastern North Slope, eastern Brooks Range areas, again through Sunday night and early Monday, with better conditions, a lot less wind on the western Arctic coast with light snow and fog flurries, that type of situation. And for tomorrow, again, windy conditions, eastern Arctic coast, North Slope into the eastern Brooks Range, and less breezy conditions, but still cloudy with a chance of snow over the eastern interior all the way from the Yukon Flats on down into the Copper River Basin, North Gulf Coast. That low pulls up toward Prince William Sound and weakens, so it'll be a cloudier, snowier day for the Kenai Peninsula, south central Alaska than today into Cook Inlet, maybe some snow showers or Kodiak Island with some clearing as the winds become west-northwesterly. And the Panhandle south-north flow front weak moves in and weakens, but the southerly flow will keep periods of rain going there, a mixture of rain and snow for the North Gulf Coast. And snow showers a little farther south now, but still not quite reaching the Aleutians, maybe the western Aleutians, and colder air now pushing into the Pribilofs. So snow showers with temperatures starting to take a plunge. And north winds on the gusty side, St. Lawrence Island, but dry, cold conditions over the west and northwest part of the state, and actually even from the Brooks Range on out to the entire Arctic coast. And taking a look at Monday, That low over Prince William Sound tomorrow weakens into a trough and kind of lifts northward. So rain and snow right along the outer coastline, periods of snow, Prince William Sound, south central Alaska, and periods of rain, possibly heavy at times, with that next front swinging up into Kodiak Island. And still pretty good rainfall amount, southerly flow, definitely a wet weather pattern holding, wet and mild for the Panhandle, with maybe mixed rain and snow above 1,500 feet up Lynn Canal area toward the Haines Highway, otherwise just flat out rain everywhere else. Lighter amounts of rain, maybe becoming more showery, possibly ending down toward Dixon Entrance, Metlakatla, Ketchikan, Heidelberg might see a mostly dry day, hopefully, optimistically. But cold air, northeast winds on the increase over the Bering Sea, pushes cold air south and southwestward. Highs barely getting above 10 degrees for the Pribilofs and staying below freezing for the Aleutians. That means snow and snow showers across all of the area there, kind of becoming a mix for the Alaska Peninsula. Cold and dry for the North Slope Arctic coast with light winds. We get a little windy in the northern interior, especially through the passes of the Brooks Range. That blows right into the northern Bering Sea. Lows tonight, anywhere from 25 to 45 below, again, the northern interior Arctic coast, North Slope areas, to 5 to 15 below for the St. Lawrence Island area and the Seward Peninsula. South and east of the Alaska Range, though, temperatures in the single numbers for the Copper River Basin, otherwise teens to lower to mid-20s, upper 20s down toward Homer, in the teens for Bristol Bay. And out over the Panhandle, pretty mild highs or lows in the upper 30s to lower 40s, followed by highs in the mid-40s, most areas of the southeast coast, 40 degrees for Yakutat, mid-30s Kodiak Island, and mid to upper 30s for the coastline of the, from Seward over to Cordova, and near freezing for Valdez. Mid-20s to lower 30s, south central Alaska, a little below zero in the Tanana Valley there, a little above in the 40-mile country, well below zero from the Brooks Range out to the Arctic coast, and a high about 20 for the Pribilofs, mid to upper 30s for the Aleutians. Then temperatures fall below freezing across all the Aleutian chain by Monday morning, temperature down to 4 for the Pribilofs, and well below zero down into Bristol Bay and north of the Alaska Range, 35 to maybe as low as 50 below zero for the North Slope areas, and in the 30s, staying mild for the Panhandle. And for Monday afternoon, highs lower to mid-40s for the southeast coast, a little cooler, upper 30s for the North Gulf Coast, and 25 to 30 south central Alaska. So it looks like temperatures cold enough to hold frozen precipitation all the way down to Homer and Seldovia, as well as Seward, high right around freezing for Valdez, and in the mid-20s for the Copper River Basin. And Fairbanks area, 5 to 10 below for your highs, and maybe 0 to 5 above for areas from Delta Junction to Northway and Tok. And then highs 25 to 35 below for the North Slope and Arctic coast, and 10 to 20 below for the Seward Peninsula, about -9 for the high temperature for Savunga. Call it 11 for St. Paul, and lower to mid-30s for the highs for all of the Aleutians. See 34 pretty common there for Shimiatu, Adak, Atka, Nikolsky, Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, and then upper 20s to lower 30s for the Alaska Peninsula. Highs in the single numbers, 5 to 10 for northeast Bristol Bay, and a little below zero for the Kuskokwim Valley.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
IFR North Slope, Arctic coast, and some IFR there over the upper Yukon Valley. On down in toward north side of the central Alaska Range there, the marginal VFR, southern Alaska, IFR, southern Prince William Sound, eastern North Gulf Coast, all the Panhandle, improving the marginal VFR, southern southeast coast, pretty widespread IFR, Alaska Peninsula, central eastern Aleutians on up to the Pribilofs with VFR farther to the west over Shimianatu. Also the northern Bering Sea from St. Matthew Island through the Bering Strait to the northwest coast, all VFR. And for the afternoon, for Sunday, VFR, central western interior, some lingering IFR up over the North Slope, some marginal VFR, Seward Peninsula, Chukchi Sea to St. Lawrence Island, but St. Matthew Island, Nunivak Island, southwest coast, Bristol Bay, up into the interior, good VFR. East of the Alaska Range, marginal VFR becomes IFR, northern Cook Inlet, Manuska Valley, into the Copper River Basin, up into the 40-mile country, and then pushing actually north of Eagle, up almost to Old Crow, And eastern North Gulf Coast, IFR, solid IFR for the Panhandle, eastern Gulf of Alaska. Pretty good band of IFR sweeping across the Fox Islands into the Alaska Peninsula and northward to the Pribilofs. And for Monday morning, that retreats southward, but still covering the area from about Atka Island eastward across the Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula to about Chignik. Marginal VFR, Chignik, the Aleutian Range to Kodiak Island, Fognak Island, VFR, into southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak, Kachemak Bays, VFR, IFR, northern Cook Inlet, Manuscus-Sitna Valley, into the western, northwestern Copper River Basin. Another batch of IFR there, upper Yukon River there, Porcupine River southward to, actually south of Eagle and toward the mountains. And eastern Panhandle IFR, western southeast coast marginal VFR. And for the afternoon on Monday, some marginal VFR for the North Slope and eastern Arctic coast, otherwise not too bad. Northern portion of the state, a little bit of IFR over toward Eagle. And then the North Gulf Coast, or western North Gulf Coast, actually Prince William Sound, southern Kenai Peninsula, Resurrection, Kamishak Bay, all IFR. And Kodiak Island looks IFR. Some VFR showing up on the south coast of the Panhandle, otherwise marginal VFR. Southern Bering Sea and Aleutians. From St. Paul Island southward, marginal VFR. North of there, though, good VFR right up into the Chukchi Sea. Passes, Anatuvik, marginal VFR for the day Sunday. Adigan, though, VFR, a little drier conditions off to the east, so clearer skies, higher ceilings, visibilities for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, though, marginal VFR. Rainy, same forecast, marginal VFR at times, and windy, marginal. Isabel, IFR. Mintasta, same forecast, or actually a little better. Marginal VFR, but Tanita, IFR. Portage, IFR. Chilcoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels at the surface up into the Copper River Basin there, and actually north of Cook Inlet, and right across King Salmon, just north of the Alaska Peninsula, just north of St. Paul. 2,000 to 6,000 foot freezing levels across the southeast coast, definitely in the warm air there. And with that warm air, considerable moderate rime icing. Prince William Sound, eastern North Gulf Coast into the northern Panhandle, be pushing northeastward, north and northeastward. Areas of lighter icing up in across eastern Alaska, and some mixed icing possibilities of the light, possibly moderate variety out over the Bering Sea there, Pribilofs, but all that north of the Aleutians. And the jet stream, not too bad wind-wise. The main jet cutting across the southern Panhandle about 115 knots, otherwise pretty light out over the Bering Sea. Eastern or upper Yukon Flats, west-southwest about 75 knots. 9,000 feet, northerlies 45 knots, coming through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. Light winds over the southern Bering and Aleutians. West 45 knots, northeast Bristol Bay across the Kamishak Gap. And northern Kodiak Island pick up to 55 knots and turn southwest into the Panhandle. And looking at the 3,000 foot wind flow chart, pretty good winds again through Kamishak Gap and the Barren Islands, 45 knots west-northwest across the Gulf of Alaska, turning south 50 knots. Northern Panhandle 55 knots. The southern southeast coast, otherwise northeast, at 40 knots there, coming across Yukon Delta just north of Nunivak Island. And 50 knots over the Kobuk Valley. Turbulence, surface 4,000 to 6,000 feet or below. Considerable moderate chop, western Cook Inlet.
Ahoy, Cadets, and welcome to the Okeanos Explorer. I'm Debbie, and I'm an ocean explorer. I work for NOAA, which stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Together with many other people, I work on this ship and we explore the deep sea. How do we do that? Let's go find out.
Octonauts, let's do this. Yow!
The pressure in the ocean is so great humans can't go there, so we send a special robot. Octocadets, meet Deep Discoverer, our special robot for ocean exploration. And this is Chris. He works with Deep Discoverer. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Debbie.
Can you tell us about what Deep Discoverer does?
Sure. So this is Deep Discover, and today we're going to take Deep Discover up to 4 miles down to the ocean floor so you can see what Deep Discoverer sees.
And how do we do that?
We do that by using these powerful cameras and powerful lights.
That's neat. And what is that?
And this is our manipulator arm, and we use this arm to take biological and geological samples that we store up front in these boxes, and so that we can bring them to the surface so scientists can analyze them.
Wow, isn't that cool, Octocadets? Wow! Now that we know more about the special robot that explores the seafloor, let's find out more about the ship. Octocadets, let's do this. Now let's find out what we do with D2's video. Come along. This is the control room. A lot of things about D2 happen in here. Behind me you see the pilots. They steer D2 on the seafloor. And over here we have scientists. Hi, Steve and Stacy.
Hi, this is Steve and I am Stacy and we are marine biologists.
Can you tell us about the work you do here?
We actually look at the videos collected by the robots and we try to identify organisms along with other scientists on the shore.
What are you looking at right now?
We're actually looking at a sea star.
That's so awesome, thank you. Now let's look at how we make maps of the seafloor.
Excellent, Quasi. A good map helps you to get to places you've never been.
We also have a scientist on board who makes maps of the seafloor. Hi, Derek.
Hi, Debbie.
Can you tell us about your work?
Sure. My job on the ship is to make maps of the ocean floor. We do this by sending sound from the bottom of the ship. It echoes off the seafloor and comes back to the ship. And then from that, we can make maps like this. So this is what it would look like if you were able to drain the water out of the ocean and actually see what the landscape looked like down there. We use these maps to give the vehicles a place to dive, and they explore further, just like Octonauts do.
Status report, Dashi.
We're right on course, Captain.
So earlier we learned that D2 picks things up from the seafloor with his manipulator arm. Let's find out what we do with those samples. This is the wet lab, and Megan spends a lot of time here. Megan, can you tell us about your work?
I am the sample data manager, so when the ROV comes up, we go out and we collect the samples from the ROV and we bring them in here. And we try to record as much information about them as possible, everything from the details about what they look like to the environment conditions where they were found. How cold was it, for example? Then we come in and we take imagery using this microscope, and we take pictures using this camera as well. And then after we get all the pictures taken and we're ready, we prepare them for shipping to other scientists and museums so more science can be done, such as the squat lobster, this cup coral as well.
And what is that?
This is a piece of coral, or several pieces of coral, that we think might actually be a new species. So we are going to send it out for a comparison to existing species to see if we discovered something new.
Wow, you have a really cool job.
Thank you.
Fascinating. I've read about this, but I've never actually seen it.
An important part of how we explore the ocean is keeping in touch with scientists and Octocadets on shore. Let's go see how we do that. Rosemary, could you tell the Octocadets a little about what that dish does?
Sure. My name is Lieutenant Rosemary Abbott. I'm the operations officer aboard the Okeanos Explorer, and that is our VSAT. It stands for Very Small Aperture Terminal, and inside that satellite dome is a very powerful dish antenna that allows us to communicate with shore and share video in real time. The technology is called telepresence.
Wow, that is so interesting. Thank you, Rosemary. Now I'm getting really hungry. Let's go to the kitchen and talk about food. This is the ship's kitchen, also known as the galley. And this is Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Debbie.
Michael is the chief steward on this ship, and he keeps 49 people fed for 3 weeks at a time. Michael, how do you do that?
With a lot of care and with the help of 3 crew members. I have myself, the chief steward, a chief cook, and a second cook. and we just do it with a lot of love and care and make sure that everybody's happy and well fed. We use up to 150 dozen eggs per trip, up to 100 gallons of milk, a lot of veggies and fruits, a lot of snacks. Everybody's very pleased with what we usually put out. We also make sure that we do it in a loving way, in a sanitary way, in a safe way that keeps everybody from getting any tummy aches.
I'm about to enter the ship's bridge. It's like the Octopod's headquarters.
Octonauts to the HQ.
Ahoy, Captain.
Ahoy, Debbie.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Octocadets, meet Eric Johnson, the commander of the ship. Eric, can you tell us about what you do up here?
Absolutely. Hello, Octocadets. My name's Eric Johnson. I'm an O-Corps officer, and I'm the captain of the Okeanos Explorer. Welcome to my office. This is where we drive the ship. This is where we control the operations. We run the propellers that are underneath us in the back to the wheel up here at the front, which is where we steer. It's a pretty cool job. It's very exciting, and it's pretty beautiful around here as well.
So, Octocadets, now you know a little bit about the ship and how we explore the deep sea. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I'll see you next time.
Debbie, safety first.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Coastal water forecast. Small craft advisories for much of the coastline. Central and south coast, south winds 30 knots, seas 18 to 23 feet. Gale warnings on the north coast, south winds 35 knots with 24-foot seas. Small craft advisories for the northern inner channels, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, south winds 25 knots. And Stevens Passage, south winds at about 20 knots, and then small craft advisories for Clarence Strait, south winds 30 knots, 17-foot seas. And moving on to the forecast for Monday, gale warnings all along the coast, central and south coast anyway, for south winds at 35 knots, seas 15 to 17 feet. Small craft advisories for the north coast there, west winds 30 knots, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, northern and central inside waters. South winds 20 knots, seas 4 feet, and small craft advisories for Clarence Strait for south winds at 25 knots with 4-foot seas. Prince William Sound on the day for the day Sunday, northwest winds 20 knots with 4-foot seas, and light variable winds northern Cook Inlet at 10 knots. Otherwise, small craft advisories, southern Cook Inlet, northwest winds 30 knots, seas 9 feet, gale warnings for Kamishak Bay, west winds 40 knots, and gale warnings for the Barren Islands for northwest winds at 35 knots. North Gulf Coast looking at west-northwest winds at 30 knots with 16 to 20-foot seas. Prince William Sound, northwest winds 20 knots. Those will swing around to the southeast at 20 knots for the Sound on Monday. Seas only about 3 feet. Gale warnings around Middleton Island, south winds 35 knots. And for the western North Gulf Coast and Barren Islands, we've got southeast winds at 30 knots in the forecast with seas around 12 feet. Gale warnings for Kamishak Bay. Winds will be northeast 35 knots with 9-foot seas, and small craft advisory, southern Cook Inlet. Northeast winds 30 knots. North of the Forelands, though, northeast at about 20. Bristol Bay on Sunday, west winds 20 knots. The Alaska Peninsula, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots. And small craft advisories for Kodiak Island. West winds 25 to 30 knots, seas 7 to 14 feet. And for Monday, small craft advisories Kodiak Island, winds east-southeast at 25 knots, seas as high as 11 feet. And small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula, north winds 25 to 30 knots with 8 to 13 foot seas. Brisk wind advisories Bristol Bay, north winds 25 knots. And for the Fox Islands tomorrow, pretty good day wind-wise, light and variable, 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 8 feet. Adak and Atcom, not much different. Winds on the light side, northeast-northeast at about 15 knots, seas 5 to 8 feet, and then 20-knot winds from Amchitka to Shemya from the east-northeast, and seas around 8 feet. Those pick up on Monday from Shemya to Adak and Atka, northeast, 30 knots, seas 12 to 13 feet. For Winmac Island, northeast winds 30 knots, on Alaska Island, north at 30 knots, and seas running 10 to 15 feet. Southwest coast, looking at north winds 20 knots tomorrow. Same thing for the northern Bering Sea, St. Matthew Island. Northeast at 20 with 5-foot seas for the Pribilofs, and St. Lawrence Island. Brisk wind advisories for north winds sustained at 30 knots. That holds through Monday, St. Lawrence Island and Norton Sound. Brisk wind advisories there. North winds 25 to 30 knots, as well as the Yukon Delta Coast. Kuskokwim Delta Coast, brisk wind advisories also. Northwest at 25 knots. Pribilofs, north 30 knots, northwest 30 knots for St. Matthew Island. Eastern Boulevard Sea Coast, west winds 25 knots, so brisk wind advisories, Kaktovik Demarcation Point, Barter Island. Otherwise north at 15, Central Coast northeast at 20, same thing for the western Arctic coast, northeast winds 20 knots. And brisk wind advisories from Cape Thompson to Wales for northwest winds at 25 knots. And for Monday, brisk wind advisories from Wales to Cape Thompson, north winds 30 knots. Otherwise, the western central Arctic coast looking at north winds at about 15 knots. And then from Kaktovik to Demarcation Point, winds west at 20. For tonight, areas of light snow and low clouds, possible fog, especially the Arctic coast, maybe the North Slope, but nothing south of the Brooks Range. Maybe some scattered snow showers along the Kuskokwim River Valley up to the Yukon Flats. Areas of light snow over the Tanana Valley, possibly in the Copper River Basin. Gale force winds, rain, heavy at times, eastern North Gulf Coast, north coast of the Panhandle. Drier conditions continue, maybe an increase in the clouds for Cook Inlet and south central Alaska. For tomorrow, low pressure moves to Prince William Sound, so cloudy, chance of snow showers, south central Alaska, periods of snow along the North Gulf Coast.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.